So that when the other things, when you say, well, I could never have that car, or I could never have that life, or I'm not willing to be audacious, you will have learned, you will have trained your mind that, you know what, you could actually do some things that you thought you couldn't do. And so learning that is a really, really important life lesson. And the earlier you can get it, I think the better off you'll be, because you just know you have no limits. You have no limits.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where we explore the art of living boldly and authentically. Our mission here is to empower you to live your best audacious life ever. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, sharing insights and inspirations from totally incredible guests who've literally transformed their lives and are eager to help you do the same. I really, truly appreciate you spending time out of your day to join us. I know how busy you can get. And I thank the fact that you're here and thankful for that. And I promise you, in return, you will not leave empty-handed. Now, today we're diving deep into the interconnectedness of our financial wellness and personal health. Now, I want you for a moment just to imagine, just as a plant flourishes when nurtured with the right balance of sunlight, water, and soil, our well-being thrives when we make small, intentional changes in our lives. Now, we often, underestimate, how these minor adjustments can significantly improve our health outcomes and even influence, our gene expression, if you will. A positive mindset acts like a sunlight. It's crucial for breaking through those clouds of self-limiting beliefs, and we've all experienced that, and we all know how much those self-limiting beliefs can overshadow our potential. Moreover, financial literacy is the rich soil that supports our growth. It's essential for achieving financial prosperity as well as security. And then, just as the trees grow stronger in the forest, a community and purposeful living are key components of longevity and fulfillment. In today's episode, we have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Mr. Jon Sabes. It was fabulous to have him on the podcast. He's a seasoned expert in the financial services industry and the author of this transformative book that I have here, Healthy, Wealthy, The Good Things in Life for as Long as Possible. Healthy, Wealthy, Longevity, I should say. The Good Things in Life for as long as possible. Jon's mission is to empower individuals to understand the relationship between longevity and financial wellness, guiding them forward toward healthier and wealthier lives. Jon is not just a guest, he's a beacon of knowledge and how to navigate the complexities to live with audacity. I gotta tell you, his insights into longevity and financial literacy resonate deeply in our quest for a vibrant life. And he really had lots to offer, and I am certain that you'll walk away. Like I said, you're not leaving empty-handed. We're gonna make sure that, because lots of great insights are coming your way. So without any further ado, let's turn to our chat with Jon. Enjoy. Hey, Jon, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here, so thank you.
Thank you, Audley. Pleasure to be here.
That's great. Like I said before we got going here, the opportunity to, engage in conversations that, can help individuals get to a better place. Just it's naturally exciting for me. But I only could do that with you being here to help me along. So thank you for your presence once again. It is absolutely important and critical. You're the author of the book Healthy, Wealthy, Longevity. It's my copy here, so we're gonna dive into that. But maybe as a starting point, if you don't mind, telling our listeners a little bit of the work that you do and what's got you to the point that you're in now. And I ask that because here on this podcast, we talk much about living that best audacious life, right? And how individuals can do that. And that journey's gonna look very different for everyone. That pathway is gonna have different set of obstacles, different set of challenges, and different set of rewards. And I would imagine, your own personal story has its own share of stories itself.
It certainly does. No, it's great to be here. I guess, yeah, we could start. I would say I'm living an audacious life. I set some pretty BHAG goals for myself, big, hairy, audacious goals. And yeah, I would say objectively, I'm definitely living a pretty audacious life, but certainly within the confines of trying to do the right thing, and so the book I wrote, as you mentioned, Healthy, Wealthy, Longevity. I've been working in and around the financial services industry for 20 plus years. And I wanted to write a book about the positioning of longevity and living a good life and how that relates to financial services. And so I wrote this book, and bottom line, it's my blueprint on how to live an audacious life. It's my best foot forward on giving some really practical instructions on how to do that.
For sure. I wonder if you could talk about your work in the finance industry and how you found your place in that sector.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like everyone, it's sort of you start peeling back the onion in your career, and one thing leads to the other. And I developed as I write about, a realm of competency in finance, and then ultimately a specialization on how finance works in and around longevity, meaning how long people live. And that started with the life insurance industry and thinking about how long people live. And then that led me to molecular biomarkers of health and aging and commercializing those. And now the next phase of this journey for me right now is just how do financial products, how can we better position financial products to help us live our best life into old age? What does healthy aging look like? And so that's kind of my next venture. It's Longevity Financial Partners, Longevity FP, and that's what it's all about. And at the moment, but that's a little bit of my career. It's a pretty big arc. And like I say, it was pretty audacious all the way through.
I'm curious, the focus on longevity, how did that come about for you? When did you identify as that being a key? This is part of the journey that we need to be mindful of?
Yeah, well, I think the mindfulness, let's start with the last part. The mindfulness of it really came to me last year when I was writing the book. Okay. When I was starting my new company, Longevity Financial Partners. And why I say that is because my mother became ill, much to all of our surprise. She was 83 years old. And no one was expecting that, right? We were like, whoa. And she was like, newsflash, no one lives forever, guys. And, I'm not doing chemo, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that. And my life's been a dream. And so longevity, while I had been working in and around it for almost 2 decades, suddenly became very personal in a way that, frankly, I hadn't internalized. Prior to that, it was a molecular biomarker called your epigenetic clock and your epigenetic aging of gene expression. And before that, it was a probabilistic calculation, meaning what are the odds of me dying tomorrow versus at 100? And that's just pure math. So that's where I was before, and that's where I ended up. And so my journey led me to some very interesting, I think, insights about that. And then also from my own experience, I've been living an audacious life, but a healthy life. I've really focused on just being outdoors, health, came natural to me. And I don't know, I guess I put a few things together, and was very honored to be able to write that book and then share some of that wisdom, at least that I've gained, to help others on their own journey. Like, as you said, everyone's journey is unique.
Yeah, no, and I do love the part of storytelling or sharing that I absolutely love is taking aspects of our old, and I'm going to call it messy journey, right? Because nothing's ever, clean and spotless. You go through your challenges and you come on the other side, and you're in one piece, a little messy, but you're on the other side of that. And so taking those lessons, those experiences, and passing those on to others, I think that's where the true value is. And so I really appreciate you doing that. Let's sort of dive into your book a little bit, because you certainly make a connection between, good health and financial prosperity. So that's clear that you made that connection there. Why do you think these two aspects are so intertwined?
Great question. Why are they so intertwined? Well, first of all, health it's really hard to focus on your health if you're financially challenged. If your day is made up of just constant, I'll call financial struggles, and I mean real struggles. The car can't pay the rent. I can't get the car out of the shop. You really are in a difficult position. It's very difficult to focus on the self-care of your own health. And so I think they are intertwined in a way that is downplayed, or not, I'll say, brought to the surface. There's, incredibly troubling statistics around how the top, 5-10%, earners, how much more life they live versus the lower 5 or 10% earners. And so there's a real big correlation between financial wellness and personal health wellness. So I think they're correlated in a way that's not talked about enough. And like I say, I find it hard to think about self-care when you are under financial duress. And it also triggers all sorts of, very unhealthy both habits and biochemical production in your system that just makes being healthy more difficult, which leads to a shortened lifespan. So I connect them up pretty hard, unfortunately, or fortunately. Look, I'm going to say fortunately, because my position is everyone in this great country has the opportunity to have financial prosperity, and you get to decide what that is. But I'm just basically talking about most, the basic needs are covered, and you start to work on those wants, and that's what I'm talking about. Financial, you get to decide what that is. And I'm speaking to most of us. There are people who can, be the freegans and live on nothing. And there are those that want everything and are never satisfied. But I'm just kind of talking about the rest of us. There's a journey there that most of us are really on around our own financial wellness.
I do like the reference of being a journey. I think it absolutely is, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. The interesting thing when you talk about the connection between health, good health, and wealth, and I'll even throw happiness in there too. Like I think health and happiness are kind of intertwined as well. Is that you can have that financial freedom, and I won't guarantee you good health, but you could have the other side of that. You could have financial stress and hardships, and that can contribute to you not having good health, right? Like, so it's just really interesting how the two words. It's kind of almost like a one-way street in some respects. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't necessarily go both ways, guaranteed, right? But there's the contributing factors.
Yeah, as I write about in the book, again, I'm a study of positive psychology. I'm a student of positive psychology. I've relied on positive psychology a lot to achieve my audacious life. You got to keep yourself positive through all the hardships and challenges that are bound to come your way. Mm-hmm. So I've been a student of positive psychology, so that having that positive intention of being a happy person, yet then also, as I say, if you focus on your health, and focus on health, just generally, just always be health conscious, have health at the forefront of your mind. You can have that drink or not. You can eat that deep fried, that French fries, double stacked cheeseburger or not, or something else. I mean, you have choices throughout the day. So just being health conscious, if you will, having that as part of your the way in which you're seeing the world, plus financial prosperity, which is you're focused on that prosperity. I suggest that those two foundations, if you just focused on those two things, you're going to increase the odds. There's no guarantees. Again, I have this, my background is probabilities. And so there's no guarantees of anything in life. There's no guarantees if you're rich, you're going to be happy. There's no guarantees if you're super healthy, you're going to be happy. But my proposition to, if you're struggling, or if you just focus on your work and you just focus on your health, I'm telling you, you are heading in the right direction, and good things will come your way. You are increasing the odds of good things coming your way. And that's what we all need to be focused on.
Yep. I think it's a very powerful message, John. Truly, truly is. I agree with you. As you're writing your book, what I'm curious about, as you're writing your book and you're doing the research, what have you, was there anything surprises or maybe insights that were maybe counterintuitive that you uncovered while you're going through the book writing process?
I think what we touched on it a little bit, which was in my research for, I'll just say, books on happiness.
Okay.
right? Lots and lots of podcasts, lots of talk about being happiness, but not a lot of talk about financial prosperity in conjunction with that conversation. I'm sorry. I mean, they'll talk about work,
Sure.
but why the hell am I work? I'm good. I mean, I get it. Work gives me good. Work gives me purpose. It gives me meaning. I love to work. I write all the time. You know, my latest blog article: retire like Warren Buffett at 95. Okay, this idea of retirement is so outdated that we just need to move on with that. And at least for me, okay, but I would say when you ask the question, what surprised me in that research was so much happiness books and not addressing a foundational need of some level of prosperity. And then what is at the core of that? So let's unbundle that. And then I do that in the book. And I'll just, for the listeners, my belief, number one, it's literacy. Right. You need to be financially literate. I in all my whole life, all the people I've ever met, black, white, yellow, Muslim, Jew, Christian, the people who have financial literacy seem to have their financial prosperity situation well in hand. So I really believe financial literacy is such an important topic. It needs to be talked about enough. And then after that, it's like, okay, then how do you approach work? How should you approach work? How do you develop a realm of competency that sets you apart from all the other people? So no matter what you're doing, you're setting yourself up for success, more opportunity, and more growth. And so those are the things, to me anyways, foundationally, when we think of prosperity, those are the things that we need to do, focus on, and take action on. So what surprised me? If you want to be happy, have a little bit of money in your bank account. It's going to go along with Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's old partner, used to say, he would say, you can, let me get this right. You might not be able to buy happiness with all the money in the world, but with all the happiness, you can't buy any money. So, that's a one-way street.
That's right. Yeah. It works. Yeah. It doesn't go one way. Yeah. And I hear you. And it's interesting because, there are people who will chase that happiness with the wealth, right? They'll chase it, or they'll think like, this is what I need to be happy. And you get it, and they're not any happier. So they achieve the big mansion, but they're sitting there by themselves alone, no one else to share it with, right? And that's always often a big indicator that happiness does supersede all. But wealth can help with it a little bit too at the same time.
I guess I define wealth as something greater than money. So I think when we think about wealth, and when I'm saying healthy, wealthy, longevity, I'm thinking, wealth certainly has a piece with money, but wealth is really the experience that you're bringing into your life. Like you said, it's not great to have a mansion and sitting by yourself. I rely a lot on the blue zone. So I studied the blue zones quite a bit in my research, and I became a big blue zone fan. For those folks who don't want to wear the blue zones, there's
the blue zone, if you don't mind, just to educate those who don't know.
Yeah, so blue zones is a concept. It's some research that was done by another fellow Minnesotan up here, Dan Buettner, who searched the world for the if you will, the fountain of youth, and he found 5 regions in the world: Okinawa, Japan, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California. We have a blue zone in California, and one other one I'm blanking. But what he found was these communities had not only the longest living populations and the healthiest, but also the happiest populations. And so he studied these populations in the blue zones, and he came up with sort of what are the characteristics that each one of these communities embodied. And one of them is community, and that was it. These connections. So being alone is in actuarial math, being alone is deadly, and so you want to be with others. And so coming back to my concept of wealth, it is all about concepts of blue zones, which is community and purpose, something greater than yourself. So those are really important, but money helps a little, get more of that, helps you do some more things. But but it's really about that. That for me is wealth. Wealth is the experience of life, not just, your things. That's an empty promise.
Got you. Got you. So when we think about sort of financial well-being and our health, um, if you were to leave a tip with the audience as to practical tip or habit, something they can do, they can adopt to maybe improve those, well, what would you say?
Yeah, I think one thing and I write about this, and I learned this through my journey of these molecular biomarkers of health and aging. And what I learned, it's if the one thing I certainly want people who are listening to pick up on here is that our lifestyle why is it such a huge driver in our own health? That's a question that, how does that happen? And it turns out lifestyle directly impacts gene expression. We're who we are, our genetics are 20 to 30% of who we are today. So what makes up the rest, the 70 to 80%? And that is lifestyle. Lifestyle is driving gene expression. It's driving your health. And so know that, first of all. So know that when you are living a healthier lifestyle, you're driving gene expression to a healthier state. And what I would say is one of the messages of the blue zones, which is set up your environment to make the healthier choice the easier choice. So we can all take a little, make our environment, and I'm talking about your apartment, your house, your office. You can take little micro steps to make your environment a little healthier, a little easier to access the healthier. Make that healthier, that better decision the default decision. And so it gives give yourself a little help in that journey.
Yeah, not even thinking about it. It just naturally happens, right? You don't have to put any thought or effort, or it's just automatic almost, and all of that.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things you could do, put your walking shoes by the door, get everything set up, make a Tupperware of if you're still going to the office, make a Tupperware of some healthy lunches so you don't end up going to the fast food. I mean, there are innumerable steps we can all do to just tip that environment just a little bit towards that better choice. Mm-hmm. And as you say, that becomes a default. You don't even have to think about it. It's just the natural thing you do.
Yeah. And thinking of sort of the financial sort of services sector industry, I'm wondering are there any trends that you're seeing that supporting longevity or healthy? Like, are you seeing anything that suggests it's now a consideration or focus?
Well, we're at peak 65 right now. Okay. So peak 65 means there are more individuals in the United States that are going to turn 65 this year than in the history of the United States of America. Wow. So we're at this peak bulge within our population. So this idea of longevity and living longer, it's probably something we're going to talk about, and you're going to start seeing it in the news. And that drum just continues to beat louder and louder and louder because so much of our population is waking up every day going, oh my gosh, who is this old person in the mirror? And so, how do I stop it or slow it? Right. And then we also realize that as we grow old and we retire, right, we're not in our prime income earning years. And so how do we, create products that help foster more prosperity later in life? And so I think we're on the edge of seeing some very innovative, interesting products come into the market to help older individuals deal with their financial needs later in life. So I'd say keep your eyes and ears peeled for that sort of innovation. Mm-hmm. I think we can do a lot. Social Security is effectively financially bankrupt. So for those of us, I don't know, Audley, how old you are. I'm 58, but by the time I get to 65-ish, I'm not expecting a lot to be there in Social Security. So we have to develop our own, financial wherewithal to take care of ourselves in retirement, so we don't become a burden to the state or our children or our friends. So I'd say keep your eyes and ears of that. There's some really interesting things. We right now we work with annuity products. Annuity products kind of have a bad name. They really have their bad name because of the low interest rate environment we were in for decades.
Yeah.
And those products perform horrible in a low interest rate environment. We're in a really exciting interest rate environment. I mean, from a fixed income investing perspective, and that is allowing those products to perform much better than they ever have. And so I think and the financial engineers, if you will, the gods of Wall Street, are going to be able to take advantage of that to build some more exciting products for folks entering retirement.
Right. Well, it sounds great to have options for those into that group of that segment of population, and it sort of makes sense. And to see that the industry is shifting their focus a little bit. Peak 65, I've never heard of that one before, so that's a new one for me. It's a new learning. But if you think about it, if you've got, all of a sudden these senior citizens one day that wake up, and I guess you're considered one when you reach 65, you need to you have to develop whether systems or processes or products that will suit and meet their needs.
Yeah. There's nothing like a demand to what's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we have necessity and it will invite invention and innovation into financial products to do a better job. We haven't done a great job for folks as the financial landscape has changed over the last 10, 20 years.
Got you. Now, so coming back to the podcast again, we encourage audacious living, and when you think about it, living audacious really involves taking control of our own lives and making those bold decisions, if you will. And so, wondering maybe you can comment on how focusing on health and longevity can empower people to live more courageously and make bolder decisions in their lives.
Yeah, I've done a lot of triathlons over some ultra running.
Okay.
I've done five Ironman triathlons, sort of audacious, long stuff. I always, and people would say, well, what are you training for? What's your next thing you're training for? I say I'm training for life, and so so to your point, like life takes a lot out of you. And so get that body in the best position to give you the most amount of energy to take advantage of what life throws at you, to fend off, the attacks. So get that body, move that body, prepare it for audacious opportunity, get that mindset right. I always say, if you've never run or walked anything, that's fine, but go try a 5K. It's 2.5 miles. Start walking. It's not that far. But those are really great test environments, because you'll say, I can't do that. And what you'll find is you can do that. And when you learn that the road always continues and you can achieve things that you thought you couldn't do, it's a great exercise. It's a great training ground to get your mind right, so that when you say, well, I could never have that car, or I could never have that life, or I'm not willing to be audacious, you will have trained your mind that, you could actually do some things that you thought you couldn't do. And so learning that is a really, really important life lesson. And the earlier you can get it, I think the better off you'll be, because you just know you have no limits. You have no limits.
You touched on mindset. I'd love to go on that a little bit, because that's the key in all this. I mean, the wrong mindset could shut you down before you even start. And I think it's critical to sort of be mindful of the thoughts you think, or the beliefs you tell yourself, or what you think about yourself. All of these things can have negative impacts, or if we're not careful. Isn't that the case?
Absolutely. What's the saying? You are who you think about all day long. That's the person you are. So if you feel if you're thinking negative all day long, that's who you are. But if you fill your mind with positive and intention of where you're going to be, that's who you are. I've developed a little tool I talk about. It's on my website. This little, I call this Pursuit of Happiness prompt journal. It says daily prompt journal. I developed this for myself. I used to because I wanted it. I listened to Tim Ferriss and his 5-hour journaling, and I went to get the book, and it was like this thick, and I'm traveling all the time. It was like a year's worth of entries. And so I developed my own little, I call it a pocket prompt journal, so it could be with me all the time. I kind of like practice the art of lightweight traveling. I say, if you can't carry it, you're bringing too much.
Yes.
So, but right, this is just this idea of a daily affirmation, of a daily reminder to write down something positive, write something down you intend to achieve, write something down you're grateful for, write something down that you could have been better at. That's it. A couple little things like that. And that's going to help keep that mindset focused on what you want. It's going to help because that's the key to this game. And you know it, because you're out here, you've got this great, you know it, and you're trying to bring this guest like me to tell others, like, this is the hack. This is how you hack the matrix, folks. Okay. Audley isn't telling you, but this is the hack. Okay, so if you do this hack, this is how you're going to hack the matrix. You'll be like, I'm hacking the matrix because he's hacking it. I'm hacking it. We're hacking the matrix. We're getting everything we want out of life. I can't fucking believe this is happening.
Yeah.
So
no, I get you. And you're right. I think the approach, it really is the approach, right? The approach and how we think about things, and person we think about as who or what we consume our minds, rather, is kind of what we need to move that focus or move that needle in that direction. I think it's wonderful. For someone who's kind of starting out on their health and wealth journey, right? And they're out there and they're trying to figure out a starting point. What kind of, you look at those, when you think of those sort of first few steps, what do they look like?
I think with your health, it's start moving. Just move. If you're stressed, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling down about yourself, feeling down about your financial situation, feeling down about anything, just go for a walk. Move that body, get some air in those lungs. And so I would just say, movement. Motion is lotion. And so just move. I don't care what it is you like to do, just move and keep moving. And when you sit down and then have a coffee and take a little rest, then keep moving again. So that's with health. Health is about movement, and it's about what you put in what goes in your mouth. Just be health conscious. I know you don't all have healthy options. Sometimes we've got to grab it on the go, but there are better choices than others. And so just have a health conscious mindset on your life and move. With respect to financial, your financial prosperity, that's all. First of all, it's financial literacy. So if you're not financially literate, again, in my book, I explain what's an asset, what's a stock, what's a liability. If you don't know what those things are, you need to learn. And whether it's my book, there's plenty of YouTube channels, there's plenty of podcasts, but educate yourself. Take the first step and just gaining some financial literacy. It's such a disservice we do to our youth when we teach them a lot of things, but we do not teach them financial literacy in school. And yet it's the thing we're all going to need in life. So learn some financial literacy, keep learning, and then work like hell. I'm a big Elon Musk fan. I don't care what people say about this and that. I love this man. I think he's an incredible innovator and genius entrepreneur. And it's all about the work. You got to work like hell. I hear you on work-life balance, but as you say, just let it go. Don't think about 9 to 5. That's not how it works, folks. Life is work. Okay. Right. So just let it go. Find that time to find enjoyment. Your work can be a place, and should be a place to rejuvenate you, get you positive and pumped. Okay, so work like hell. Find some work that you love doing, and I don't care what that is. You can love any work, but find some work you love and engage with those, and just go for it. So that'd be my words of wisdom.
No, I think that totally works. Are there any kind of misconceptions out there that you come across or you've seen with respects to longevity and financial success?
I think you touched on it. One of them is DNA. Your DNA is your destiny. Oh, I was born this way, so this is how it's going to be. Oh, I can't change this and I can't change that. You have so much agency. You have so much power in your own life. You just need to use it. You need to get that mind right and apply yourself towards your life. So I'd say that's a big misconception out there. I was born this way. This was my mom. This was my dad. Whatever that is, wipe that clean. That self-narrative, that self-limiting narrative that we touched on, get rid of it. Get rid of it, because you're the only one who's got it, and anyone who else has been saying it, that's their narrative of you. You control your narrative.
I got to tell you, Jon, throughout this conversation, I'm a big fan of just the energy, and you've got great energy, and I'd love to know how you personally stay motivated, uh, and really be able to live sort of a balanced life with prosperity and health.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think, some of your messaging, I just let it go. I'm in the moment. I'm getting charged up having this call. It's motivating me to want to do more. Um, I figured out how not to allow those self-limiting beliefs and other people's narratives of me and what I am or should be to not control me. And so that really motivates me and keeps that energy high, keeps me motivated to keep doing and have this conversation, talk to others, and keep doing more. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's very clear and refreshing. So thank you. If we were to think about I know, and I think we've sort of talked around this, but I'll ask anyways. I'm always curious to hear about that one message that you want listeners to walk away with when after reading your book.
The road to happiness is yours. It's a journey every one of us can have. Your goal in life is to, at the end of life, because we're all going to experience that, is to say, my life's been a dream, and so you want it. And that's what my mother told me. She said, my life's been a dream, guys. I'm good, and so that's your goal. So if you can, think of your older self. You want to think of that older self. We often don't think of ourselves as 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay. We're old. So what would that older self tell you today? Man, Audley, I'm glad you did that when you were 40 or 50 or 60, because I'm over here at 80. I'm over here at 90. Man, I'm glad you did that, because that's so good right now. Because I can't do it now. I can't do that. You planted that seed. You took that action. You did something. So think about your older self. Focus on things that have virtue. Spend your money on virtuous things, not hedonic things. Think of virtue. Look that up if you don't know what it is. And go for it. But go for it in a virtuous sort of way. And your older self's gonna really give you a big warm hug when you meet he or she.
I love it. I love the idea of thinking of yourself and your older self. We oftentimes talk about, our younger self and what we do, or, what would we say to our younger self with the information that we have now, but also our older self. There's some benefits of also thinking of, in terms of even from a goal setting standpoint. It helps you to understand where I want to be and what would that mess, what would my older self say to me when I get there, right? Is really what I love that. So it's a good perspective. For listeners that wanted to connect with you directly, Jon, or grab a copy of your book, where can we send them?
Yeah, my website's Jon Sabes, SABES.com. The book's on Amazon. Those pocket journals are through my website. I'm on all the social media platforms. Find me there, connect with me. I'll do my best to help anyone and everyone on their own journey. So I appreciate the good work you're doing and the messaging you're bringing, and keep it up, and love to be back or do anything I can to help you. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. I think it's wonderful, and I appreciate the encouragement. It's a labor of love. If some guy hit me 5 years ago, I said, no, this is important, and I've been talking about it ever since. And my friends and family to see me coming a mile away, know I'm going to say it, right. And so it's nice, and I think as time has gone on, what I've really started to value and appreciate are just the conversations. And I always sort and so I always sort of, at the end of each chat, I walk away going, okay, what did I take away and what did I learn? And then the bonus, right, where I feel like I'm winning is, as I'm getting it all, I can use it in my own life. Because, listen, I listen to my own podcast too, right? So it helps me. It's not just for our listeners, I'm also doing it for myself. And so thank you for those insights. I appreciate the work you've done. Congratulations. It's your first book, right? It's your first book?
It is.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's
Yep.
a big deal. You congratulate yourself, and I really want to thank you, Jon, for being a guest on the Audacious Living Podcast.
Love it. Appreciate you.
back we are here on the podcast, and much thanks and appreciation goes out to Jon for being here. One of our main points from our conversation that we had with him is the importance of integrating health and wealth, which can serve as a foundation for achieving a fulfilling life. I totally love Jon's energy and the way he emphasized that wellness is a journey, not a final destination. If you want to connect with Jon directly and learn more about his work, you can find all of his contact details in the show notes below. As always, we got you, and I'd encourage you to reach out to him. He's also offering a fantastic pocket happiness journal that can help you cultivate a positive mindset and track your journey towards audacious living. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Audacious Living Podcast. Your engagement means the world to us. And if you really enjoyed today's conversation, I would ask, if you haven't already done so, to take a moment to follow, or share this podcast with family or friends. Together, we can grow, this community and continue to inspire each other to live audaciously. Now, before we go, as we wrap up here, I want you to remember that just like a flourishing garden, your life requires nurturing through healthy choices, financial literacy, and a vibrant community. So let's continue to cultivate our lives with intention, positivity, and connection. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.